Hey guys, what's happening? Hey now, I'm just here to do a little video about my top 5 Castlevania games of all time because I'm in a big Castlevania binge. I'm in a real nice mood here, and it's pretty damn fun to play all these games again and just go straight through them and dig all these hours into these old games that I've played before a million times. And this is my top 5 games of the Castlevania series all time. Um, there's some exclusions because I never owned a Nintendo DS. There's a few I never played, but I played most of the significant ones, and a lot of this has to do with nostalgia. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started with number 5 is Castlevania 3: Dracula's Curse on the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, the very first one. This is one of the classic, real hard Castlevania games, 2D platformer, traditional on the NES. It was came out after Simon's Quest, which was a real disappointment to me and everybody else in the world, although there are people who like it and talk crap about people who hate it. But I hated fucking Star. What a piece of shit game that was. And it was a big, major improvement for the first Castlevania, but it's just a damn good game. My favorite out of the NES, my second favorite out of the NES ones, and that's pretty obvious to which the first favorite is because Simon's Quest fucking blew. Simon's Quest blows, man. I don't care what anybody says. Alright, number 4 is the only one on this list of the Game Boy Advance collection, and that's Aria of Sorrow. For the Game Boy Advance. That's one of the deeper Metroidvania games. I was equally a fan for the Metroidvania ones, although they can get kind of dull, but Aria of Sorrow never got dull. It's really good for a handheld game. It's so damn deep, and a lot of RPG elements when they first started. They didn't first start because there was Circle of the Moon also, and one more between that, I think. Harmony of Dissonance, I think. And, you know, that's when they perfected the RPG elements on the GBA, and I think they did a really damn good job. That's still my favorite handheld Castlevania so far, although I never played the one for the PSP, which I want to so bad. But yeah, that's number 4 is Area of Sorrow, which is damn fun and really deep, and you can sink a lot of hours into it for a handheld game. You can probably get it real cheap nowadays or just emulate it, but it's worth playing as a Castlevania fan. Number 3 is Castlevania for the NES. What can I say? First game of the series, same gameplay as they had 20 years later. 10 years later, I mean, sorry. And a real classic. This was a platformer on the NES that wasn't traditional because it was violent and scary, and it had attacks and then the special attacks with the daggers and it wasn't just the vampire killer, and Simon Belmont stars in it, and he's just one of my favorites. And he's the original Castlevania in the original Castlevania game, and he's the original character with the original vampire killer in terms of not chronological order, but in terms of the game's life. That's the first one, and you can never beat the classic. Now number 2. Sorry guys. Okay. Alright, number 2. I'm going to go into a little more detail now. I just did a review on this game, so I won't go too far into this one, but I'll go pretty deep into number 1. A lot of people would say this is their favorite Castlevania game of all time. Sorry, excuse me for one sec on my Gargoyles mug. You guys remember that cartoon? Okay, number 2. This game was the deepest at the time, way ahead of its time in terms of the Castlevania games, and it's just a great game. It really is. I just played it recently, maybe a couple weeks ago. I bought it on Xbox Live Arcade for $10 or 800 points. So worth it. I sunk 7 hours into it, didn't even beat it yet. And that is Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the PlayStation 1, PSX, Xbox Live Arcade, and I'm not sure, I think PSN, but I'm not positive about that. because I buy all my DLC games or downloadable games, arcade games on XBLA because it's just so much better. And Symphony of the Night, man, what can I say? Just such a good game. It's a classic now because it's almost 15 years old, believe it or not. I remember playing it 15 years ago and getting, I think I got up to the part where you take the raft with the longshoreman guy, and he takes on the raft while you're in the underground cavern type thing. I kept getting stuck in that water, and I went right to beat the bosses before I got double jump and stuff, and it was just that. So when I was, 6, 7 years old, and it was a tough game, and it was a tough game now. If you don't grind at all, you can still beat it, but at the same time, once you flip that castle, which makes this game, by the way, if you play with a la carte, with no guide, but you go for everything, and you consult the guide occasionally, maybe for just to see that you didn't miss anything major. It took me about 7 hours to get up to the final boss and unlock the inverted castle, and then it takes you another 5 to go through the inverted castle because all the enemies get real hard unless you're really leveled up, and so that's 7 hours. Then if you play through 12 hours. Then if you play through again as Richter after you unlock, I think it's 180% of the map, which would be 90% of the regular and 90% of the inverted map. You can play through as Richter, which is much harder and a lot of challenge. And yeah, so I'd say it's probably about a 20-hour full experience if you're a completionist like I am and get those achievements and stuff. And like I said, I'm 7 hours in. I took a quick little break, and that's it. Right. And okay, I'm at 7-minute point. I'd like about 2 minutes to talk about number 1, and a minute to just say my honorable mentions. Now, number 1 is 100% sentimental, nostalgia. I still play this game today. I just beat it the other day for the first time ever, but I've gotten to the final stage, the final boss, probably about 40 times in my entire life and never beat it until the other day on my actual SNES, not an emulator, nothing like that. And that is Dracula X, or Rondo of Blood on the PC Engine, or Dracula X, or Vampire's Kiss, I think it is in the European version, but for the SNES or the PC Engine, Rondo of Blood, both of them, I'll consider them one because they're kind of like remake. Dracula X is kind of like an American remake, sorta. But yeah, that's my number 1, Dracula X. I had the American version. It's the second Castlevania game I ever played, and it's the one I really got into. I love Richter Belmont. He's my favorite Belmont, more than Simon, who I love, and Trevor, who I really like too. But Richter Belmont, man, what a fucking badass. And the fact that you could play him in Symphony of the Night almost made me choose that as number 1. But Dracula X, man, it's a long game. There's multiple routes at a certain point, and that is just a damn good game. It's hard, though. I mean, really fucking hard. Like, if you don't have an emulator in save states or a Game Genie, you're gonna get your fucking ass whooped in this game. For an SNES game, this was damn good, way ahead of its time in terms of gameplay mechanics. And that's number 1, Dracula X, or Rondo of Blood for you hardcores out there who like to play the Japanese PC Engine version. But yeah, man, Dracula X, go pick that shit up. Best Castlevania of all time. Couple honorable mentions. Castlevania Harmony of Despair for the XBLA and PSN. That was really good and satisfying, man. They satisfied the old fans with that one, and they knew what they were doing, so clap clap Konami, good job. Not like Lords of Shadow, you fucks, or what was the Castlevania 64, what a piece of shit that was. And my other honorable mention is Super Castlevania 4 on the SNES, another great one on the series. So check some of these games out, definitely Dracula X, and if you disagree or agree, let me know. Leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and this is one of my favorite series of all time. If you've never played it, I highly recommend it. Start with one of the early ones. Thanks for watching, guys.